What's good, YouTube? It's y'all boys back at 3012 Inning Podcast. What's up, y'all fellas? How y'all doing tonight?
Doing good, doing good. Good, just
Yes,
chilling,
sir,
just
yes, sir.
chilling.
All right, man. Yeah, we got a flurry of topic, man, due to the USA domination of the Olympics. We're gonna talk about the men's and women's basketball Olympics gold medalists performances and how we thought the whole tournament went and what we thought from the players. Khalil, what do you think about what went down?
Um,
Men's
well,
side first.
just to on the men's side, they scared the fuck out of me. I'm not gonna cap. Um, that game against Serbia, boy, I kind of expected it to be a 15-point margin most of the game. It was a 15-point margin with USA on the wrong side. Um, but thank God they turned it up when they did. They kind of saved face, honestly, because I know if they wouldn't have brought home the gold medal, there would have been a lot of shit talking, a lot of other athletes from different sports, Noah Lyles having shit to say. Um, but all in all, it's the Olympics. You can expect teams to always come out and give Team USA their best. Team USA handled it very well. Steph Curry stepped up when he needed it. LeBron proved that he's the man. He's always going to be that go-to factor for as long as he's playing basketball, in my opinion. Um, I think he led Team USA in points, rebounds, and assists.
Steph led
Again,
in points
Steph, yeah, well, yeah,
by a little
but
smidgen, yeah.
yeah, but assists. I know he was averaging a good amount of assists a game. Kevin Durant stepped up when they needed him to. That last game, it was kind of like I can guess you can say like a going away party for the old heads in the final minutes coming down into the game as they all kind of did whatever they needed to do to win that game.
Not most definitely be.
Honestly, it was a bit rocky. It was a little bit rocky, especially even in the prelim games. They were a little closer than what you like expect. Um, Especially they almost got, they was in a dogfight with South Sudan. That's when I was like, oh man, it might be a little bit crazy this year. With all due respect to South Sudan, you know what I'm saying? I know Luol Deng was supplying all of that goddamn Lakers money that he got for their whole organization. And but them boys
Facts.
came to play. And then we started seeing, Serbia, like Khalil was just talking about, Serbia jumped into a huge lead. Um, Looked at grim for my guys, but they buckled down. I think it would have been ugly in the sense of how nobody gives LeBron, Melo, Wade, and that team that won that bronze medal. Like that's kind of a black eye for USA basketball history, and it's weird to say that because they still medal, like they were still ranked third in the world, but it's considered like an embarrassment for their respective careers. All of those players who were on that 2014 when Argentina won the gold. Um, and this team looked pretty similar, not talent wise, but what kind of how they were going through the motions a little bit, in my opinion. I think a huge storyline coming out of this Olympics is going to be Jason Tatum not getting no PT like that. In some games, me and Jason Tatum got the same amount of PT, but he had better seats. Um, I want to see what he do coming off this. Um, I don't know if he could be more aggressive, but he was looking pretty unhappy on that bench. And man, I hate to go with narratives surrounding like, Steve Kerr and, you know, him maybe doing it on purpose and all this stuff. I don't want to believe in that stuff. Um, but at the same time, when you had KD, you had Braun ahead of you, it makes sense why you're not playing all the minutes, but to get no minutes was kind of insane. Um, on that last game, the gold medal game, honestly, that was the Steph Curry game. They needed him to come through. Amazing performance, superstar performance. Like Khalil said, it felt like a great send off to the old heads. It just reminds you how old people getting personally. I feel like all of our time watching basketball, the prime years was watching the Cavs go against the Warriors and the last remaining years of Kobe, and that's what it feels like. I feel like once I watch Steph, LeBron, and KD next year, I'm watching their ending like Kobe years as last year's with the Lakers, and I don't want to feel that way. But in life, things happen like that. But I thought it was a good win for the USA. The rest of the world, they got some talent. I think Wemby gonna come back with a vengeance.
Nah, most definitely. Yeah, to both of these guys' points, uh, it definitely send out the old heads with the right way, the right mentality. Sorry, that's my dog in the background going crazy. Um, all of them average 15 or between 14 and 15 points. The three top guys, Kevin Durant, LeBron, and KD. I'm sorry, and Steph Curry. um, those gentlemen, they played right at those first couple games. You seen the way LeBron still in his 22nd season. This is his third Olympics, fourth Olympics. Um, and still dominating. And he was the go-to guy. He was the guy they went to multiple occasions after the game on with multiple different players on the team. They asked, "What was your guys' plan? What was your guys' go-to down the stretch?" And it was give the ball to LeBron, and at 40, that's just something amazing. Steph Curry, 36, 37, I believe, right around that corner. He's going to be the next older guy in the league, but still perform the way he performed in that gold medal game, hitting all about 6, 7 threes in the game. I believe 10 threes, I believe almost. It was ridiculous, the performance he put up in just that 2, 3 minutes left in the game. Um, just a wonderful performance overall. Jason Tatum not playing definitely will be a big story, like Brock said. For me personally, I think that's going to be a push for him to say, "Hey, all right, bet we're going to come back and try to win this chip again." Because now most of their stars have a chip on their shoulder with Jalen Brown being Finals MVP, Eastern Conference MVP, and not making the team. Uh, Jason Tatum making the team, not getting no PT. Them calling your boy Derek White, who's a wonderful player, by the way. No dash to Derek White, wonderful 3-and-D guy. He's an NBA savant. Do your thing, buddy. But your teammate who's not even the third star on his own team got more PT than the guy he defers to, which is crazy to me. But like you said, we don't want to start no Steve Kerr slander or anything like that. So hey, JT, hey Duke guy, I love you. Knock it out. Go back and try to win another chip, man. Hey, I ain't got no guy in the race in the NBA. Melo, you retired. So hey, but wonderful, wonderful performance by these guys, the old heads. Hopefully we get to see maybe Steph Curry if he can stay a little, because shooting never goes out. You can see him one more time in this thing.
I think he's
But
saying one and done.
he
I
said
think he
one and
said,
done.
yeah, I think he said one and done.
All I
Oh
know,
man, that's sad to see.
but all I know, it's going to be hell to pay between Jalen Brunson and Jason Tatum this year. How I'm feeling.
Let
Nah,
me
I'm for
Hey,
real. Cause all they like, I was watching that Jeff Teague podcast.
yeah,
Only all NBA first team All NBA player on that team,
yeah.
and he, like you said, bro, what the ass back minutes.
Yeah, he looked like us
Yeah,
junior year. My junior year, sitting on the riding the oak.
it's
Ugly.
pretty much he had the same role as Tyrese Halliburton. That's how they putting it.
Facts.
But I
Facts.
get Tyrese Halliburton, like,
Yeah, oh yeah, I
what I'm
definitely
saying?
get Tyrese Halliburton. But you telling me
But
you couldn't find a spot for Jason Tatum at the 4?
bro averaged
Maybe
literally
even
5.3 points a game.
maybe even a small ball 5?
5.3?
Because Jason Tatum's good
5.3?
defensively. Yeah,
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
A couple of those games, I mean, come on, they played Brazil, I believe, and they played
Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have found some minutes for your boy Jason Tatum to play against those two teams, man. Like, I get South Sudan; those were some big boys. I get Serbia; those are some bigger guys. You needed some more bigger bodies on the floor. I understand that, but those other two games, even in the preliminary games, like bro was barely even like really getting out of there. It's crazy. They did Jason Tatum ultimately dirty, which I was not a fan of at all. Um, just how do you win a championship and then you ride the oak in a national game? Like,
The bad thing that I think gonna come out of it is because even though you want to presently like construct the team and do what's best for the team presently, you also got to think about the future. Like, how is you sitting him on the bench after you probably promised him certain things to be a part of the team? How is that going to affect his participation going forward in the Olympics? Because I wouldn't be surprised if he flat out refuses to play in them again.
I don't think he's that guy though.
You
I
gotta
don't think
think
he's
though,
that type
too.
of guy.
He's like one of the faces of the league right now too,
Right.
Yeah,
and you got one of the faces of your league not playing. Like Byron
yeah.
said, on a nationally televised game that not just people in the U.S. are watching, but everybody all over the world because it's the Olympics.
Everybody.
Yeah.
International game, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
come on, man. Like,
The
this
reason why
is ridiculous.
But the reason why I say he might do something like that is just because LeBron didn't play for the past couple of Olympics. Like, I believe the only reason LeBron played this last couple of because he knows he finna retire in the next, 2 year or two. So it's like
Yeah,
I'm
this is
gonna
like
go
his
ahead
last
and
one.
I'm gonna have just like I'm gonna rack up these accolades towards the end of my career as I'm riding off into like the sunset type situation. And don't get me wrong, LeBron was still best player on the team, and that's actually something I wanted to ask y'all about because LeBron ended up winning MVP. Do y'all think that was deserved, or should it have went to somebody else?
it was
I
deserved. He
don't.
controlled. He controlled the tempo of that team. Made sure everybody was in them spots. You even see the last two games that Steph Curry got going was off of like pick and rolls and passes from LeBron. LeBron literally does everything when it comes to either rebounding, getting the ball, pushing the pace, just high level IQ, like we all expected LeBron. LeBron pretty much played like how LeBron plays. Obviously, the points weren't up there, but that's just because you're surrounded by so many scorers.
Not facts. Not facts. I'm not mad at LeBron winning. But I also wouldn't be mad at it if it was co MVP. Like if they would have gave that bid to Curry and LeBron, that would have been great because obviously those last two games, Curry getting hot, pushing them over, that shooting is just immaculate and helping them, get to the gold medal game. And they were about to, struggling a little bit. But hey, LeBron definitely did his thing. 14 points a game, led him in rebounding and assists at 40. When you got a whole bunch of young pups on the game that are just, that should be taking over. They say, hey, no, we're still gonna defer to the greatest player, in the league, I guess. So we're gonna
All
give it to him.
time. All time.
All time. Um, let me
I ain't
let
gonna
me.
say that.
Hey, man, I don't even think it's debatable anymore. But
Y'all
let me.
got it.
I want to ask y'all this though. Because I saw a report today, and it's about some of the Olympic players that we're discussing about some people feel like the Warriors aren't doing right by Steph. Just speaking on like the old heads, so KD, LeBron, Steph, do y'all think that they're sending them out on a like a high note their organizations do? Or let me rephrase that question. Do y'all think that organizations should do all they can towards the end of a player's career, including sacrificing the future in order to potentially try to, win a championship towards the end of a player's career?
Uh, so between Steph, KD, and LeBron, KD hasn't really done anything for the Suns. So yeah, like I'm saying, so if he was like on the Warriors, like how Steph's been on the Warriors, he's bringing them all these championships and stuff. I feel like the Warriors kind of owe him. Because honestly, without Steph, there is no championships. There's no hype around the Warriors like there is. LeBron, obviously, and everywhere LeBron's went, he's won a championship. So it's rightfully deserved that, a lot of people hate on LeBron for having the type of pull he has, but I mean, he's worked so hard to get to where he's at. He's elevated every organization he's been at. So I mean, why not try to at least give those two players, their last hoorah, try to win another championship.
No, yeah, I think Khalil's right for sure. The Lakers definitely should do right by LeBron. They're gonna do, whatever. Like obviously they drafted his son. Um, doing right by him, making sure he's gonna be right towards the end of his career. But I definitely would not. I definitely would be upset. I think Curry should be done right as well. And KD, obviously, like Khalil said, the last two teams he's been on, he's done really nothing for him. He's only won one playoff series in these last few years. Um, but obviously, he's still a wonderful asset on any team, and he's a trade value anywhere. But Curry and LeBron, I definitely don't want this USA basketball height of their game and everybody watching be the last great time we see them play, like like meaningful games. Because yeah, the regular season is really good to see, but we want to see them not play each other in the fucking play-in. Like I don't want to see them playing the play-in. I want to see them boys in the playoffs. Like actually playing 7 game series and you know what I'm saying, battling it out, not scrapping to even try to be in the playoffs. Like that's ugly to see LeBron fighting for a playing spot, Steph Curry fighting for a playing spot when we were like B said earlier, Brodrick said earlier, man. Um, we had eras where we would watch LeBron and Steph Curry in the championships like over and over. Yeah, we took it for granted at that time. I know I was one like, damn, I'm tired of seeing Steph Curry and motherfucking LeBron in the championship game. Let us be somebody new. But now I'm like, bruh, I'm trying to watch a good championship game. It's been all right, but it ain't really been to that kind of height like it was in those previous years. Like I just don't want it to be those last guys game, man. Lakers, Warriors, do them boys right. Even if y'all got to trade them together or trade them somewhere that they can contend, do it.
For sure.
The reason I asked y'all because I'm conflicted on this. In general, just because trading away everything that you got probably is the baseline is usually for the next 4 to 5 years in order to like help these guys win a championship. It still might not be enough due to what they're up against and who they competing against. Like I think this playoff was an emphatic, all right, we pushing y'all out the way. Like it's our time. We pushing y'all out the way. There's nothing because the Warriors, they were in talks about possibly getting PG, possibly getting lower marketing. And even then, it would have been tough for me to maybe with PG and maybe with Laurie, it would have gave them a better chance, but there still would have been holes in both those teams. And arguably, Steph, people probably don't think about it like this, but Brian mentioned his age. He probably on his last 3 to 4 more years. He's still so amazing, so we don't think about it like that. But he's down to his last 3 to 4 years. LeBron, his last 1 to 2 years. KD, he's down to 3 to 4 years as well. So if you want to sacrifice, and I mean they haven't had much. They've had a slippage from their prime years, but they haven't had it enough to where you don't know if they can be the leading man on a championship team. But honestly, it's strange to say, but I think at this point in their careers, they're probably elite level number 2 players on a championship team. And it'll be hard to get anybody better than them. So it'd probably be incredibly difficult for an organization to say, we're going to sacrifice everything when we can't get anybody better than y'all, but we'll do what we can by y'all. So that's what I think the Lakers were saying when they didn't make a huge trade this summer to get anybody seemingly. They said, you know what, we're gonna do right by you. We're gonna draft your son. At all costs, Bronny is gonna be a Laker. If we got to tell other teams he going to Australia or he gonna be hooping for South Sudan them next year, we gonna do what we gotta do. But we gonna draft them, and then Warriors, they didn't end up getting nobody. They rolling with Steph and Draymond. So, and then KD them, I think they made a good hire with their coach, but I honestly think their organization is more committed to Devin Booker. He's a younger star, he's fresher, and at this point, it sounds weird to say, but I think he's comparable to KD at this point with everything he's accomplished, and where he's at in his career. So I wanted to ask y'all that question.
It could also be too, with the amount of championships Curry and LeBron won, they probably can be content also, kind of just, like how Kobe went out, obviously he knew he wasn't going to win another championship. So, kind of just enjoy your last season, enjoy, your little league tour. They can be content with the career that they've had. Like I said, all LeBron is doing is adding to a legacy that's already the greatest legacy of all time, in my opinion. Steph Curry, no matter what he does for the rest of his career, greatest shooter of all time, top 15 player of all time. And he can, in my opinion, he could be anywhere from top 15 to top 10. So I think they could be content. Obviously, people love to win championships. That's what you're in the NBA for. But I think if they weren't to win another one, it wouldn't really kind of beat them up.
I want to push back on that a little bit. I think Kobe was content because his body gave out on him and he couldn't push. Because I don't think in any Mamba mentality, I don't care if your last leg, I'm trying to win that chip. LeBron them still full on bodies, good. Steph, still good, still shooting the rock. I feel like they can, if they were to be traded to a contending team, they can still be a number one driving force. I think they just can't drag what they have like they used to over the top. Because we done seen LeBron do it with next to nobody on those first couple the Cavs teams until he started getting them boys like Shumpert and what I'm saying, Love and all them, getting them to the championship. But like I don't think they can do that now with what they have compared to when they were younger. But I think if they were to get to any one of these contending teams that has some really good role players and a decent star or two, I feel like they can definitely make a push and still see their greatness as all right. Like you said, now you seen amongst the elite of the elite in the USA, they were still the best players, and they drove their team to win the gold. That's like winning, NBA championship, but even better because obviously they're USA. But I feel like if they were to put them on a team like, what I'm saying, that has a couple of those stars or a star or two with great depth in shooting or at least some great defense, they can push it and be the best player on that team, lead them to a championship and be probably the finals MVP.
Well,
i.e. 40-year-old LeBron.
What you about to say, Khalid?
I was gonna say playing for Team USA is completely different from playing say Steph Curry got traded to the Knicks, Steph Curry got traded to the Suns. Team USA has nothing but superstars throughout that whole lineup to where you're not going to be able to give the production that you need to give, or you're not going to have to win a championship because those guys are all elite. They're all elevating each other's play. So I kind of see it as even if they were to get traded to a contender, you have to think of the chemistry. You have to think of how much a team's willing to give up for the guys on the back end of their career. Yeah, they're elite, but do you want to give up your whole farmhouse and stuff to try to win a championship within a 2-year span? stuff like that. So
Yeah,
No, I understand that. Oh,
and
go ahead.
one thing I wanted to push back against you a little bit is I think it's harder because you said it's hard. Is basically you framed it as, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, that it's harder. It's harder to win an Olympic gold medal than it is an NBA championship.
Oh
So
no, not saying that at all. Not saying that it's hard to win an Olympic gold medal than it is win the championship. I'm just saying the players that they were playing with, right, are all elite players in the NBA, correct?
right,
yeah,
And the players, and they were the best players on that team at their
correct.
age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you put them, like I said, with an NBA team that's contenders, i.e., like Khalil said, maybe the Knicks, yeah, you would have to give up some of their bench, but they are a full team already, right? That's a
Right.
team that has Jalen Brunson as a superstar and everybody else is complimentary, you would
But
say? I ain't gonna be like
yeah,
that.
but
This not in a disrespectful way. Like they're
I
all
don't. Yeah,
they all complement each other in the right ways of they can shoot, play defense, you know what I'm saying? They got high intensity and they're gonna fight.
at the same time, though, let's just we using the Knicks. Let's use the Knicks
No, go
real
ahead.
quick. I don't think it would be smart for everything the Knicks would have to give up to go get. Let's just say LeBron because they got Brunson. So let's just assume somehow they keep Brunson. Like
Mm-hmm.
to go get LeBron and Brunson, I'm still not sure that's going to be enough to get through. And Khalil might disagree with this, but get through Boston.
no, I don't. I still no,
I
I
don't know if
don't.
that's enough to win a
How many
championship.
what
Boston's
all
the
would you
team.
have to give
Boston's the
up?
team to beat.
What would y'all have to give up to get LeBron? Like
I feel like
at
most teams.
40, at
I
40,
feel
no,
like
listen, at 40, he got two years max.
Mm-hmm.
You giving up what? Randall, maybe one other player and some picks.
The Lakers actually everything.
Y'all think he gonna have to give up everything for LeBron for 2 years?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you one thing. I
It's
think
not
because
happening. It's not happening.
LeBron
I don't
James,
care.
LeBron
That is
James
LeBron.
household name, Steph Curry
Yeah.
household name, KD
Yeah.
household name. Just because they're big
Yeah.
names, even at old age,
But you have
they
more
gonna want the
years than
bag,
KD and Curry. I'll say for them two, yes. LeBron, you have 2 years max.
bro. It's LeBron. They gonna want a bag for him.
Yeah, they're going
You're
everything.
gonna give it back. You're gonna give up Randall. Randall's a high player in the league, right? I ain't
Right.
saying he's equivalent to LeBron at all. I'm just saying he's a high player in the league. Am I wrong? Or am I right or wrong? He was one of the leading driving forces to get them to the playoffs.
He's a 2-tier, 3-tier type of player in the league.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's decent. That's decent. That's equivalent to a nice little first round player. That's better. That's better. You give up him, another player off. Let's say you give up Hart because you're trying to keep
No
your
way,
two
man.
players. Your two
No.
players you're trying to keep is
I'm not doing
Bridge.
that.
Well, I, I'm
I'm
just
not doing
saying you got to
that.
give up Hart. You give up Randall, and you give up a couple of picks. You
That's too much right
keeping
there. That's too
You
much.
keeping Jalen Brown? I said Jalen Brown. You keeping Jalen Brunson, LeBron, and Mikal Bridges, and then you fill in the roster with whatever with the rest that they already have. That's dogs already. You don't think that they can push?
Khalil
And they
said
already
he.
made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. There's no
Khalil
way
said
in
he wouldn't.
hell I get rid of Josh Hart. There's no way the Knicks get rid of Josh Hart. There could be no way. That man is the heart and soul of the team. Like
I thought Jalen
whenever
Brunson was the heart and soul. Well, I understand.
when
Yeah, that boy played every fucking minute of the game due to
whenever
Thibodeau.
whenever the Knicks have needed something, most of the time it's Jalen or Josh Hart answering that bell, whether it be defense. Man is 6'5" and he's the best rebounding guard in the league. Man can score the ball. He just does so much for that team that I'm not trading him for 1 or 2 years of LeBron. I can't see that happening.
Now, me personally, I look at it from a different perspective. In my humble opinion, I still don't think that's nearly enough for LeBron. LeBron is you trading Randall, who's a second, third tier player at best, who can't stay healthy and he isn't very efficient. And then respect to Josh Hart. He's a decent role player, the elite of the elite role player. Could be the best role player in the NBA, quite frankly.
The whole
That's
team
still
gave him a
not
role
enough.
player.
That's still not enough for LeBron James from a business perspective, from a talent perspective, from any type of perspective. For any of those players, like KD 34. Like, I understand you getting more years out of Steph and KD, but they're also, I would say at least KD is declining at a more rapid pace than LeBron is. Like, at this point, I think LeBron is still better than KD, but I think KD only has about 3 to 4 more years. He's not as effective as he used to be. And the reason why he wasn't giving those teams a lot, the past two teams, is because he can't stay healthy. He keeps getting hurt. He's come back from major injuries. In the past 5 years, he probably had 2 or 3 major injuries. So at this point, I don't think that everything the Knicks would have to give up, it'd probably be too much for most Knicks fans, and it probably wouldn't be enough for Rob Pelinka to pull the trigger with everything that comes with LeBron. So it is difficult. That's why I pegged the question, because to me, I was conflicted about it. It's a difficult question to answer, in my opinion.
Hey,
Yeah,
they can
no.
go. Hey, I'm trying to. You got 2 years. You can get up out of here. I love you. You appreciate the chip. You gotta go. I'm trying to push for the future. 2 years ain't the future. The future is 10+ years.
But
As you
what
can trade him and get assets to keep the thing going and try to start maybe competing for a championship in some time. Because you ain't gonna be competing with him on the team. So what's the difference?
That's what I'm saying. If that was possible, if the Lakers was willing to trade LeBron, which they have especially made clear that they are not willing to trade
Oh
LeBron
yeah,
before
Genie
they,
ain't playing.
yeah, if they were willing to do that, other teams would be willing to give up everything for LeBron James, but he's not available. And I think the presidents of LeBron's never been traded, nor has he ever asked for a trade. If if he ever got to the point where you're the team just pushing somebody that has the legacy of LeBron out of their door, that would severely have an effect on how other stars view your franchise. Because if you're willing to get rid of LeBron, you willing to get rid of me at any point. There's no job security here. So it's a long conversation that we can have on another pod, but great
Yeah, most
talk about
definitely.
it.
Most
For sure.
definitely. Any more y'all got to put on for USA men's side?
No.
All right. Women's women's USA basketball team. Spearheaded by Asia Wilson. What y'all boys, Brock? What you got to think about that? What you got to say about that?
That was a hell of a game. That was one of the best basketball games I've watched in a long ass time. It was super stressful at the end there. Um, I can't remember her first name, but last name Williams for France. Incredible player. I think she plays for the Connecticut Sun. It just made me more hyped to get into this WNBA season, which I think started tonight, that we recording this podcast. With the second year of Angel Reese and was Caitlin Clark. Her jersey just came in the mail. But it made me more excited for them. They were more thoroughly dominant as they have been. I think they're the most dominant Olympic team of all time as far as organization. Well, I think this is their 8th straight gold medal. I don't think they've never not won the gold medal in women's basketball. So for them, they came, man. The game was back and forth. France in the fourth quarter went up 3, USA up 3. Some free throws was missed. Great defense was being played. We had a player come off the bench, ended up being a hero in that final game. And then we had them shooting the shot to try to tie the game, but they had a foot on the line, like your boy KD. And they end up winning by 1 point. It was an incredible game, a great cap to the Olympics. And like I said, I'm excited to see what these women do this year in the WNBA. I think they did a great job marketing themselves, and they didn't oversell certain narratives that maybe I thought they were gonna do specifically Brittany Griner, shout out BG. I thought they were gonna, try to oversell that whole situation that she had, but they didn't. They kept it about being on the court. She's still one of the better players in the NBA. She still did her thing. She isn't the dominant force that she used to be, but she's still one of the better players in the WNBA. Asia Wilson, she kind of had some struggles in that fourth quarter. And I got to see a more vast collection like of the talent that he got from the different teams in the WNBA. So it was a great final.
Most definitely.
I probably think that this was probably the most tuned into or watched female basketball game in a while, I could probably say. Especially Olympic wise. Team USA came out, did what they were supposed to do. Asia Wilson showed, even though she struggled in that fourth quarter, like Brock said, she just showed she's a monster. Probably the best player in the WNBA.
Yeah.
And then like I said, that last game had everything from exciting moments, the dramatic moments, breathtaking moments. It had everything. Those girls actually played their heart out. I actually enjoyed watching it. France came in as a big ass underdog.
For
Um,
real.
so I kind of was watching the game, expecting it to get ugly, kind of turn it off by like the third, fourth quarter. That game kind of had me more excited on the edge of my seat than the men's finals. Also, shout out to both Team USA, Team France for getting both their women's and men's team out there. But it just shows you again how the game's evolving. With everything, definitely tell that girl Williams from France played with dudes back when she was coming up because she killed it this Olympics as well. But like you said, all in all, the USA women's team did what pretty much everybody kind of had it set in there, or everybody already knew what they were going to do.
Also, elite level commercial. Soon as they won, that Nike commercial dropped where it was saying every year, well, not every year, every time the Olympics come around, teams coming to compete for second place because they know they're gonna win it every time. Elite level commercial. Shout out Nike on that one.
Hey, just do it. Now, most definitely, like these boys said, wonderful, wonderful play. Tough game. That's the way, basketball. That's just some of the games we live for. Those nail biters to see. How great you gonna be when it's really really great. You can win by 20, 30. Obviously, that's always great. But when it's a good game like this, it keeps you glued all the way to the last second of the buzzer, and that's what the women of France and USA did. Shout out to Williams. She played a wonderful wonderful game. She played wonderful throughout the whole tournament. I believe they played about 6 games in total, and she was dominant all 6 games. um, but all in all, the collective of Brittany Griner, Kelsey Palmer, Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, what I'm saying, even having the OG playing, averaging 1 point a game, Diana Taurasi, but she did her thing with the leadership on the bench. And she probably was more than a coach talking to them in the huddle at the last second, like, hey, we got to do this, got to get right, get here, be there. She's that LeBron kind of mind for the WNBA, and still, I think she's about 40 something and still hooping, doing her thing in the league. So shout out to her. But shout out to the WNBA in general for just being a wonderful, wonderful lead to watch. Get more interested in it, guys, and keep pushing towards for them to elevate their game because you see a lot of these girls now hooping for real. And when they come into the league as it's beginning to grow, you're gonna see the game change even more. Very, very soon. They dunking for real now. So it's out here.
Let me ask y'all a question because this will probably be the last time we bring up the Olympics for a while. Like, do y'all buy into any of the stuff people were saying about like I'd rather like it'd be FIBA rules in the NBA versus what they got right now.
So you saying would I rather like see them play FIBA rules or like NBA type rules?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the
Nah.
FIBA rules just because I like seeing them niggas spike the ball off the rim. But I think FIBA rules too. They let you play more, which I kind of think the NBA needs right now. Kind of sick of seeing some players attempt 15, 20 free throws a game. Joel Embiid. But I think FIBA rules probably bring out the best in players because they have to play through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd kind of prefer FIBA rules, at least for the Olympics.
I think
Yes and no. I like the physical play for sure. But a lot of the like stuff like that, like slapping it off the rim, like I ain't for all that. But yeah, they should definitely bring more physical play back, like that hand checking, you know what I'm saying? Being able to, tug a little bit, not too much, but be more physical and let a lot of that, pity pat stuff go out the window. Not saying that the game is soft nowadays, but it's just a little bit different. And see, like Khalil said, to see Joel Embiid or like even back in the day when we watched James Harden shoot 32 free throws in a
Yeah.
game. It just slows the game down, make it very boring. Or, what I'm saying? We ain't come here to watch y'all practice free throws. We came to see some excitement. Yes, that kind of goes hand in hand with how they're trying to make the NBA now, with making it more free form. But still, you can make it kind of exciting and still make it defensive because there's no defense played in the NBA whatsoever nowadays. Maybe by a handful of guys that's still, dedicated to that defensive end.
I feel like defense get played, but it's so geared towards the offensive side. It make it seem like them boys not trying to, you know what I'm saying, lock up for real. But I, I, I think I think the NBA could stay as is, but I did enjoy the product of watching the Olympic Games more than I do watching NBA games. Because honestly, I can go like I watch the NBA heavily, but it's like by like the third quarter, most games are pretty much over with. It's pretty much a 3-point shooting contest in the NBA. Whoever can shoot and make the most threes, you pretty much win the game. And what I saw in the Olympics is besides Serbia going crazy, which they almost pulled the upset, it was more so
Hmm.
about actual, actual, not just spread, pick and roll, find the corner, shoot the three. It wasn't about that. USA tried to do that. They tried to do that the whole Olympics, and they almost lost a few times. It's much more intricate, and there's less. I don't know if they had any like media timeouts or anything like that. The game was just on, and it got through more quicker. It was more fluid. It felt more realistic instead of watching like a product. So
Yeah.
I think it can stay as is, but it definitely opened my eyes to like, okay, I'm not seeing as many ads. I'm not seeing as many ticky tack foul get called. Um, Now I agree with what you said, Byron, about like them doing stuff off the rim and stuff. To me,
Yeah,
that's
I
kind
ain't
of
follow that. Yeah.
that's a little bit too freaky. But yeah, for sure.
Nah, yeah, definitely some it's some good things and bad things about both. But like I think they should definitely get together and see what we can do to make those rules kind of hand in hand. That way when we do, because like you said, trying to play NBA style in FIBA was not gonna work at all. But I think if you incorporate kind of both rules into each other and for the NBA, it kind of will help the style of play when they go to the U.S. I mean the Olympic game. I said the U.S. Nationals, the U.S. Open. Now when they go to the Olympic Games, that they'll be more accustomed to the gameplay and game style, and it'll be more easier for them to adjust. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, all right, bet. So we got also the AP top 25 just dropped. A lot of college teams are out here. Maybe like the one, two, three are pretty given. But we got some highs and lows we're gonna be talking about tonight. High is who is too high on this list. Low is who we think is too low. Maybe they need to, push them boys up a little higher. They grinded last year. We're gonna start with highs. B. Who you think was too high on this AP top 25 list?
A plethora of teams, right? A plethora of sorry ass teams is way too high on this list. I'm gonna keep it real. I understand the pedigree. I don't know how Notre Dame is at number 7 in the nation. I just don't understand. I understand they picked up Riley Leonard, was a good transfer quarterback. That definitely was a good pickup. But they lost a lot on the offensive line, defensive line. They lost their running back, and they lost a host of other pieces. And Marcus Freeman hasn't proved anything. He's proven to be he's a solid recruiter. I got to give him that. He's a solid recruiter, and I love to see black men succeed, especially in the sports realm. Um, on the coaching side, on the business side, on any side, I definitely love to see that. But Notre Dame being ranked the number 17 team in the country over a few more teams that I see, I think the season gonna play out. Obviously, Notre Dame just lost. They've been hit with the injury bug. Specifically, they just lost their starting left tackle, who was the heir apparent to Joe Alt, and a few more players. Riley Leonard isn't 100% healed from his ankle injury, and they got a tough week 1 game against Texas A&M at Texas A&M. Even though Texas A&M has a new coaching staff, brand new culture, after they let I ain't gonna disrespect Jimbo. He's a Florida State legend, but look, Jimbo checked out. But I respect any man that's willing to take that $75 million and sit on the couch, because I'll do the same thing. But honestly, this I'm not even sure this is a hot take, but most people probably would consider it a hot take. I think Notre Dame is going to lose at Texas A&M that first week. It's a tough game. Texas A&M, that 12th man, the crowd is going to be rocking. It's going to be Mike Elko's first game. And Riley Leonard, again, I'm not sure if he's 100%. And those Texas A&M defenders are going to be 10 off on those not freshmen, but fresh face tackles, guys that hasn't got many snaps. We know Notre Dame does excellent on the offensive line, but those guys haven't faced many snaps. And so on the interior or on the outside on the offensive line, that defense is going to keep them in the game, but I expect Texas A&M to pull it away late. I really like Connor Wegman. But Notre Dame to me is too high on this list right now. And there are a few more, but Notre Dame was the first one that came to mind.
Nah, most definitely, most definitely. I'm gonna go ahead real quick. Who I thought was too high on this list was Utah. Um, they've been pretty decent team these last few years, but I'll say this most recent year that they had a lot of their wins that they had on their schedule was very close wins to a lot of great opponents or a lot of decent opponents or opponents that were not even barely underneath them. And a couple of their losses that they had on their on their season were highly talented teams. USC losing to dang it, I lost my head. But losing to a lot of high quality teams like they did, being ranked 12th on this list is ridiculous. I think that's more due to them being with the new merger and them going to the Big 12. I think that's just kind of due to that and with their last recent success. Um, I think that's the only push of them actually being number 12 on this list, but I think that's pretty too high for them due to some other teams being a lot lower than them, like LSU, for sure. Khalil.
Mine pick. I know Brock gonna like this. I'm gonna go to Miami Hurricanes. Honestly, I don't know if I should feel like they should even be on this list. I don't really see the improvements in anything really besides them getting Cam Ward. That's probably like their biggest improvement. Um, I really don't think what's the name, Xavier Restrepo. I really don't think he's a good player, but I don't think he's that great elite player that people try to make him seem like. I feel like they're gonna walk or they're gonna get dogged out by Florida come that first game of the season, just because Miami never performs up to their standards. Don't really have a good head coach. I don't know why he's still
Thanks.
there. Don't know why he's still there. And like I said, they didn't really prove greatly or vastly in any particular position. Like I said, besides the quarterback position with Cam Ward. I really don't even. Obviously, I don't think they're the best team in the ACC. I honestly don't think they're the second or third best team. And by looking at their schedule, strength of schedule wise, I don't believe that they should have started the season off in the top 25. I think they don't, as of right now on their schedule, I think it's like 2 or 3 ranked teams. Opposed to, Florida. I believe Florida has one of the hardest schedules of the year. Just that SEC gauntlet. So I believe there's a lot of other teams deserving to be on this list other than Miami.
What team did you
Most
pick, Brian?
definitely. Utah.
Utah.
So we got Utah, we got Notre Dame, and we got Miami.
Man, I think they're ranked so high because Cam Rising and Brent. I think his name. Don't get me wrong. Sorry, tight end Brent Koofy, something like that. Is coming back. All American potential tight end, veteran team. I
Yeah.
get what you're saying though. But like, I get what you're saying from the standpoint of they're moving to this new conference as well, and so that's going to be an adjustment period just because the mainstay teams, of course, they're going to have to adjust to Utah too, but it's a different style of play in that new Big
Mm-hmm.
12. So I get what you're saying, and also I think I had Miami. I just think it's like, man, those guys are 20-year running off-season championship winners. Um, I get Cam Ward. He did great at Incarnate Ward in Washington State. Uh, the guy has 46 career fumbles, a host of
Okay.
interceptions. I'm not saying he's a bad player because my team really, really wanted him. And I think he has good playmaking ability, but I question his decision making. He's kind of loose with the football, but also choosing Miami. And I understand casing that bag because it's reports out there for what he got is crazy. But at the same time, Miami as a team in the last couple of years have routinely not developed their quarterbacks. We saw what happened with Tyler Van Dyke, who just got named the starting quarterback at Wisconsin. We saw what happened with Ja'Cory Brown, who was supposed to be the next up. Now he's a backup at UCF. We're probably going to start there next year. And a few other quarterbacks. I thought that I forgot his name. He came from Milton, Florida. If there are any Miami fans, get in the comments. Let me know what was his name. He ended up having an injury, a savage injury in the Florida State game, breaking his arm. Let me know how he's looked in camp. If y'all disagree with any of our picks for being too too high, too
Too
low,
high.
general thoughts, let us know. But yeah,
Not most definitely. Now we got lowest play. Low is team that we thought was too low on this AP top 25 list. Team that grinded out the last maybe year or two, that deservingly should be a lot higher on this list. Khalil, who you got? Who you
Um,
thought was too low?
I'm not gonna lie. I thought Texas could have probably made it up a little bit higher. I mean, they were ranked 4. Um, I just think they have a lot of good returning players. They picked up Isaiah Bond, who from NCAA college football 25 standards, that man a beast. I feel like they have their quarterback. They have that guy that's been there. He's coming off a great season, leading them to the college football playoffs, looking to build off of that. So I just kind of would expect them to either, Ohio State lost in the Big Ten championship last year, didn't even make the playoffs. Georgia wasn't in the playoffs. I know it's Georgia, but you have them over the likes of Oregon, Texas, and Alabama, who knocked them off last year. I just kind of would expect Texas to be at least in the number 2 spot.
Okay. Who you got, B?
Too high?
Player too low.
Look, man, too low. You already know. Go Noles. I think Florida State is too low on this list. First of all, historically snubbed last year. Historically snubbed. Flat out cheating, to be quite frank about it. Corruption, flat out flagging. I will never forgive whoever for that shit. Like literally missed out a chance on winning a national championship. That's not something that every fan base get to experience in their lifetime. I've experienced it once. And the fact that y'all took it away, I will never forgive y'all for that shit. But why I think Florida State is too high. I mean, too low. You have the likes of, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I would actually be great if they flipped Notre Dame and Florida State. Like Notre Dame at 10, Florida State at 7. Because there is no way that Penn State and Drew Allard with no wide receivers of note, I can't name one of them. And if anybody would know these players, I would know them. I can't name a receiver on their team. Not to say they aren't good. Their D1 is Penn State. But there's no, and I like Abdul Carter coming off that edge. And they got a few pieces on that defense who are freak athletes. They should not be ranked above Florida State. Michigan, they lost a ton off that championship team. I get it. They're the national championship. Arguably, they're too low as well coming off a national championship. Notre Dame. I don't know how you put Notre Dame ahead of Florida State. I don't understand that. I think they're both going to be top 10 defenses, but I'll have our defense ahead of Notre Dame's. Offensively, I think the offenses are going to be comparable. Maybe you give a slight edge to Notre Dame there, but not really because of the injuries. So if they were flipped, I'd be cool. In addition, Florida State, I understand DJU doesn't have the best narratives pushed about him, but he had a good bounce back season last year at Oregon State. I'm excited to see what he does this year. Our wide receivers is the biggest question for Florida State football. We know they got talent, but it's unproven, and we're going to have to see what they do. Other than that, every other position group, we had we can have all ACC caliber players at every other position group, and we have all ACC caliber players returning from last year in their position groups, and guys expecting to go in the first round. At least a few guys projected right now to go in the first round, like Pat Payton, Azari Thomas, maybe Josh Farmer could sneak in there. He's going to be up there in that top 5 defensive tackle mold. Daryl Jackson, number 5 on the freaks list. Bruce Feldman from the athletics freak list. D tackle, 6'5", 330, hit 21 miles per hour this year. I mean, we got talent all over the field. Lawrence Toafili, ACC championship game, MVP. I mean, what are we talking about here? A top transfer class, a top 12 recruiting class coming in, 5-star quarterbacks. I mean, Mike Norvell, Alabama did their damnedest. If you read the reports and if you have any symbol of thinking to you, you know that Mike Norvell was Alabama's number 1 candidate at the coaching position over Kalen DeBoer. The AD even came out and said, I won't say who was number 1, but it was out of those 2. And by him saying that, if they obviously hired Kalen DeBoer, he's letting you know Mike Norvell was number 1. and he thought about going. And to be honest, I can't blame that brother. Just because the resources is a little bit different at Alabama. Um, but at the end of the day, and you wouldn't be worried about trying to get into the SEC or the Big Ten. But that's a whole nother long conversation. I have Florida State as too low on this list. If they could just switch places with Ole Miss or Notre Dame, I'd be perfectly fine with that. I just feel like it's a little bit of disrespect going on, but I love it. We got enough motivation already to start off the season, but there's some more motivation.
Dang, I thought really somebody was gonna put it as a too high Ole Miss. That's why I ain't put them. I was gonna put them as a too high team for sure, for sure. They definitely need to drop a little bit.
They got an
But
elite
that's my what's up?
defense. But they got a good offense. Defense suspect though.
And that's why they got to drop a little bit.
For sure.
For me, as my too low team, them also moving into a new conference, but as a prominent team. But maybe that's just me and my nostalgia in their last couple of seasons weren't so good. But this last previous season, going 10-2, 10-3, I mean, and winning their bowl game, Oklahoma. Maybe they can move up a few notches on this list. As a wonderful, wonderful running team, or just signing some nice 5-star tackles to revamp their offensive line. Senior quarterback with a nice freshman quarterback behind him as a backup in Michael. I just think there's a wonderful, wonderful team to be a nice drive to be competing next year. In the nice aspect of trying to make high bowl games or even maybe making the playoffs so they can make the national championship.
For sure.
Any other things, you guys? Any other comments, thoughts on this AP Top 25?
I think that this is bullshit, and that it's really like popularity contest type of thing. Because I mean, nothing like Brock said. Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Penn State, they don't really stand out to me. Like you even have, let me see. Like you have Clemson up there in the top 15.
That's what I was going to say.
Which I don't think they're deserving of that either. Oklahoma State up there. You have a bunch of teams in this ranking that, I know some of them playing tough conferences, but they weren't even top 3, top 4 in their conference standings.
Southern Cal.
Like I said, over the likes of Florida State, who went undefeated during the regular season, won their bowl game, got snubbed out.
Well, they lost the bowl game.
I was gonna say, they lost the bowl game, but you got to think about moral and everything type of stuff too, how it affected the players. You got to think about how many seniors or how many people were going to the draft that decided to sit out, because why would you want to play in a bowl game when you got snubbed out of playing for a national championship? So, except I don't have a college football team, but I definitely feel like Florida State should at least be somewhere top 6, somewhere in there, especially with all the improvements and all the top players that they have at various skill positions.
Now, most definitely could swap out for Ole Miss or Notre Dame for sure, or Penn State, either of those teams. I can't believe. I mean, obviously, Michigan lost a lot of their players, but then winning the national championship and then still being ranked under these teams is ridiculous. Like y'all said, man, popularity contest or wherever the money is, however y'all want to call it, that sucks. But hey, college, right?
I don't see how Miami is ranked ahead of NC State. NC State had a great year last year. I think NC State has a better coach. They got a good transfer quarterback that was, if you look at career for a career, Grayson McCall's had a better career than Cam Ward. Miami went, again, they got talent. The man can recruit. But with all that talent, Miami has never not recruited well. With all that talent, they perpetually underachieve. And the only big loss that NC State had was Patrick Wilson, which is a huge loss at the linebacker position. To me, he was arguably the best linebacker in college football last year. But they had massive improvements on the offensive side with Jordan Waters from Duke, Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina, KJ Conception, who was one of the best receivers in the entire ACC last year as a freshman, is coming back from a sophomore year. Noah Rogers was another transfer portal addition from Ohio State, which we know he's probably elite, but Ohio State has guys that are NFL players in college ahead of him. And they're always solid on the defensive line. Had a couple people on the freaks list on the defensive line for NC State. And again, they had a great year and they improved. So I don't see how Miami is ahead of him, nor do I see how Clemson is ahead of him. Clemson, they don't use the transfer portal. Cade Klubnik, they lost to Miami last year. They lost to Florida State last year. They're not the same Clemson who they used to be a couple years ago, and that's clear. They got a young roster, and a couple guys returned, like Barrett Carter, who I think is probably the best linebacker in the ACC at this point. But I got to see more from that receiver group, which wasn't good last year. Their best player was a freshman, and arguably their second best receiver Bo Collins now plays for Notre Dame. So I got to see much more for them. I like Phil Maffa at running back, but I want to see what they do. They got to prove it. And to start off number 14 was borderline asinine, in my opinion. I could see the top two teams right here. I definitely could understand why. Overwhelming amount of talent. Will Howard just got named the starting quarterback at Ohio State today. Georgia, they got Carson Beck, and they got an overwhelming amount of talent as well. I'm not mad at those two being ranked number 1 and number 2. Personally, I would have had Ohio State at number 1. I just think they got the Avengers this year. Spoiler alert for content that's coming out on this channel pretty soon. They're probably my national championship pick. Shout out Hard Rock Bets. And I would have had Texas over Oregon, even though I expect that to be – I expect Oregon to do big things this year. I understand why they're so high, but I would have had Texas just off of what they did last year, but also how mature they are on the offensive and defensive line. Of course, they're going to have good skill players, and they did lose a lot in the draft, but they also did good in the transfer portal. It sucks that they lost C.J. Baxter and another running back, Christian Clark. They lost Christian Clark at running back, so they'll have to reach deep into that depth at that position. But to not make it too long as it already has been, I'm sorry, I'm a college football junkie. I love where Missouri is. I think they're going to have a big year, even though I think they're going to lose a few games along the way. And I think Mike Elko has a chance to be the best first-year coach in the NCAA Division I this year. I just really believe in that guy. And he already had a shit ton of talent, which Jimbo recruited with that NIL oil money going right there. One final thing real quick is I would have probably had SMU ranked somewhere in this top 25. I think they got a chance to have a big season in the ACC this year. And looking at their schedule, I only see one guaranteed loss, and y'all know who I think that is. That's the Florida State. But other than that, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it was a rematch between SMU and Florida State for the ACC championship this year.
Shout out to that game, man. Hopefully
In
we
Dallas.
get to that.
In Dallas.
That'll be dope. That'll be dope. Big guy. Yeah, man. Shout out to y'all for y'all still rocking with us. Get in the comments. Let us know who y'all think was too high on this AP list, too low on this AP list. There's a lot of different teams deserving to be on here. A lot of teams that we feel, like you said, we don't deserve should be on this list or where they are on this list. Get in the comments and share y'all thoughts. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us, man. Shout out to y'all fellas for giving y'all insight. And hey, let's have a good night.
So
Yes, sir.